I respect Nikki Haley, I respect DeSantis, but they don't have what it takes at this time in history to be able to move this country back in its rightful place of opportunities, security, and promise.
That was one of the Trump supporters I spoke to here in New Hampshire. He told me he does like the other candidates, but he doesn't think they're equipped to handle our current challenges in the same way the former president is. We are joined now by surrogates for those two Republican campaigns, South Carolina Republican Congressman Ralph Norman representing the Haley campaign, and Kentucky Republican Congressman Thomas Massie representing the DeSantis campaign. We begin with Congressman Norman. Welcome. Good to see you this morning.
Glad to be with you, Shannon.
Okay, let's start with the two polls fresh out this morning. The Suffolk poll has got President Trump at 55%, Nikki Haley back by 19 points. We've got the CNN poll, which has this closer, but still Nikki Haley back by double digits and 11 percentage points. How does she change the conversation with 48 hours left to go here in New Hampshire?
Well, you know, the polls are one thing, Shannon, but what Nikki has done when she announced this February is basically showcase her vision for the country. She showcased her talent, and she's the only candidate that's gone up in the polls. She has not gone down. And she's attracting the crowds because people like what they hear. And Shannon, she has got the it factor. She attracts voters from all different sides because they like her, and they like what she's saying and her optimism. And so, you know, what she will do in the remaining days in New Hampshire and what she'll do in South Carolina is continue what she's been doing, which is telling American people what her vision is, and she'll deliver on it.
Congressman, you heard what Senator Vance had to say, that she's trying to attract liberal voters and people who don't really care about GOP or conservative ideals, and it's not going to be a winning strategy in the general election were she to make it there. What do you make of his comments?
Well, I mean, Senator Vance knows you don't, when you go in front of an audience, you don't ask, are you Democrat, are you Republican? No, you make the case for why they should vote for you. And that's what Nikki does. And he knows that. But Nikki gives people a reason to vote for her. And that's what's so attractive about her. And that's why she's gaining. And, you know, people like what they see. And that's, again, the polls show that. And she'll do very well in New Hampshire. She'll do very well in South Carolina.
So you were once a supporter of President Trump, so much so that you voted against certifying some of the Electoral College votes on January 6th. At what point and for what reason did you pivot away to now supporting one of his biggest rivals?
A couple of things, and I call President Trump. His policies were great. What he did was great for the country, particularly with what Biden is doing now. But it's time for a change, Shannon. I think the youth, Nikki just turned 52. She's 25 years younger than Donald Trump. I'm sorry, when you have a president like the pressures they're going to be facing, when you see what they're going to have to do to attract new talent into the Congress and the Senate, you've got to go to work doing that. Nikki will do that. And the other big thing that people need to know, Donald Trump can only give you 4 years. That's like a football team can only play half of the game. It's going to take 8 years to get this country straight. But Nikki's youth and the fact that she can give 8 years, and I would also make the argument it's really 3 years because the last year of a term is political, like you're seeing now. And President Trump is going to be tied up in legal fights, and we need somebody that can come in and work. And the criticism that he has of her, the only reason he's doing that is because she's gaining in the polls, and he knows she is a serious threat, and it's a two-person race now.
Let's talk about one of those critiques, because he says if you elect her president, you're going to have 8 years potentially of war. Here's what he said the other night about her foreign policy.
Nikki Haley is backed by the deep state and the military-industrial complex. She's never seen a war she doesn't like.
He called her a globalist. What's your response?
Then why did he pick her for ambassador to the United Nations? That's one of the greatest picks he made. If she was that, then why did he praise her for her toughness, for the way she dealt with in Israel, with the Capitol? No, that's just political talk, and Donald Trump knows that. And the same thing, he got her confused yesterday with Nancy Pelosi on the January 6th with the National Guard. And I would say 25 years ago, he wouldn't have made that mistake. But he kept saying Nikki Haley did this, with the National Guard. He was talking about Nancy Pelosi. And that's another example of he wouldn't have made that mistake if he was younger. But
Congressman, let me ask you before you go, why are you one of the only elected officials in South Carolina who's backing her, and why isn't she doing better in the polls there?
Well, I went with Nikki because I work with her. She and I came in the legislature in 2005 at the same time. I see what she can do, Shannon. She's a tireless worker, and I know what she'll do for the country. And the fact that she's the polls, she's the only one that's gone up, and I think she'll continue to go up. That's why they're criticizing her like they are. And so I don't make I don't have any problem with that. I like where we are. I like the fact that what she's doing, and I'll be with her in South Carolina as I was in Iowa and wherever she needs us.
All right, Congressman Ralph Norman, thank you for your time this morning.
My pleasure.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.